or take a look at the Night Fae. So we'll start with just the Night Fae tiers. So you have tier 1, 2, and 3, and then the armor types. So we'll start by kind of just looking at this stuff, critiquing it a little bit. We can go through and make it full screen as well. There we go. So this, we're just kind of going through and saying, what all can we suggest? What can we improve? What are we concerned about? It's not to nitpick it to death, because it's in part of like critique and just admiration, to be honest, just to kind of build up a little bit of excitement, but also with it being alpha, provide a little bit of early feedback as well. It's not a Blizzard bashing session. It's not a Blizzard praising session. It's just, you know, admiring the art and then maybe throwing in suggestions type of environment, but a balanced environment. So this is your tier 1 back piece. If you want, we can go through and switch different races. Sometimes I like to have like a larger race like the High Mountain Tauren, and then take a look at maybe like the Gnome or the Volpera. Man, that one gets covered a good bit. I don't know. I don't know what to suggest for that, because I guess smaller horns, if anything. It seems like it would be kind of neat if it sat just a little bit higher. But again, I don't know how it's going to look as far as other shoulders, so we'll hold off on that. But I mean, the art of the stuff itself, the glow effects, the little bit of leaves there. I'm guessing that's like dew dropped or dew covered webbings. They look nice. Like they did a really good job with this. Apart from blood helps, maybe soap, McBaney. I don't. Let's try. I kind of want to have like an undead and take a look at that just for no real reason in particular. I like the little. Yeah, I do, Happy. I think that's really well done. I do want to kind of look at this on, like I said, a large race and then a small one. Let's see what the gnome looks like. I mean, that's not bad. As far as like portion, you know, proportions and whatnot, that's not bad. The glowing effects, especially stuff way off to the side, I like that. Like if you look by his like by his hand right here, way back here, there's still special effects that have nothing really to do with anything, except that it's just like falling from the piece itself. That looks good to me. Ladies have. Okay, there we go. Let's see. All right, so we'll set that there. Let's see. Now this one, I saw someone going through, and I think I saw someone data mining it. But this, to me, is a whole new level of really neat. We'll start with the Night Elf. I feel like Night Elf has kind of like that for me personally is just a standard. So we'll start with that. That's nice. With the particular hairstyle, it's kind of hard to see it. So let me see if I can switch to a Xanilari troll. Let's see, Bobo says, I love that. Crom, you hate it. Really? Really, Crom? Why? Is it the bug thing? I like this. I do. I think this is nice. Like, it's so different too. And you know, a lot of what you'll hear me say is like, you know, just admiring something for being different as well. I kind of like it. I feel like, well, no, it's fine. It looks good. I think that's nice. Let's see. God, my druid is going to have that. I know, right? I think I'm going to do the same thing. I need to figure out which classes are going where. But Isn't that nice? That's really well done. Let's see. I like it better. Asymmetric, not more natural. It looked better symmetrical at BlizzCon. Oh, you mean like the bugs? Maybe being like side by side or something? Maybe. I don't know. This has like a more organic feel to it, you know? Yeah, I'm kind of on board with Kit on this one a little bit. Is like it if it's too symmetrical, it feels synthetic. If it's has that natural look to it, it feels more natural, I think. I like that though. Let's take a look at the Tauren, because I feel there's certain races that have a really different physique than the rest of them. Tauren 1, your gnome, your goblins. They make it. It looks like it's a little bit bigger for the Tauren. You know, if you had like a Tauren druid or something like that, that's nice. That's nice. I like that. All in all, there's really nothing I can suggest for it for now. But I mean, just like the animations, the falling pixels are dust. What I'm watching right now is whenever they flap their wings, the amount of dust falling increases, and I think little details like that are really nice. Like, it just shows an extra level of effort and whatnot. Like right now, if you look on the left hand side, whenever he's not doing anything with his wings, nothing happens, right? But then you have all this sparkle stuff go off whenever he. I think that's really nice. Like, if we go through and let's see if, yeah, same thing here. So it just drops and then the wings kind of spray it out more. I like that. It screams Night Elf Druid. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Alright, so let's see. How does it look on the... I'm not too concerned right now in looking at the clipping. For two reasons. Well, the clipping into the model right now. And the reason for that is that I don't know if it's just the modeling software and it's not Blizzard side at all. And then two, not really interested in the clipping unless it's into the armor. And then, then we have, something to talk about. But if it's clipping into the hair and stuff like that, for now, I'm not really interested in mentioning it, but it might be worth mentioning in the future. Let's see. All right, so if we look at our Volpera here, again, the smaller races have unique issues like this. It may be by design, but I do feel like maybe, in the future, if this is still stuck in his back, then we'll make mention of it. But I have a feeling that it's not going to be designed for that. Like, it's probably going to be floating or attached to something. So, yeah, I'd be surprised just to see that, what do we call it, engraved into his back. There's a Helm Transmog in Shadowlands. That's awesome. It's kind of woodsy stuff I want. Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. So today we're just doing Night Fae. And tomorrow we'll do the Fourth Covenant. Once we get into, once we get through the covenants, we'll get into the dungeons, the raids, the stuff like that. We'll definitely get into that. All right, so that's tiers 1, 2, and 3. Something that was mentioned earlier as far as it's not. Sorry, that's just 1 and 2. So Ken and Wynn had brought something up really interesting yesterday, I think it was, progression, like seeing a natural progression from year 1 to tier 2, I think that has progression there. And then looking at your tier 3, I guess you could argue there's a let's take a look. You could argue that there's some level of progression there. Maybe not the. Let's take a look here. We'll do. I'm gonna do Xanilari Troll because the hair on the Night Elves kind of get in the way. I switched 2 and 3. I think so. Happy, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. All right, let's just look. Let's look. Let's see. As far as the backpack goes, like I think what it is. is that the second one has so much animation. But this is like physically larger. Like to me, I would think in order to go through and get that feeling of progression going from 2 to 3, like maybe let the lights swing a little bit. Maybe put a moth or a couple of little... Oh, you know what? If you have 2 moths, right? If you have 2 moths on the big one, maybe you can have a bunch of little moths on the on a third one. Like maybe coming out of the backpack or sitting on the light up here or something along those lines. I am living for these. These are nice, right? Little moths would make this perfect. I think so. And have them have like the same model, but this needs a little bit of motion and life to it. The other thing I would potentially look at is if we go back to our first one, right? So if we go back and we look at our first one, you notice how in the we'll call them in the small circles. In these small circles here, you have this pixie dust or this essence that's emanating from it, right? I would kind of like to see that continue into the third one, because it goes away in the second one, but we start to see those that little ringing or that that looping there. That would be interesting to see in the second one. I do think third one. I do think the important thing for the third one is it just needs a little bit more animation in order to have that significant progression from 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, I think. Meanwhile, I have to decide which characters to sacrifice to Night Fae for collection purposes. Yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to it. But yeah, all in all, I think they're very, very well done. Like the color, the design, nothing but good things to say about them. These are really well done. I just think the animation's lacking a little bit, if that makes any sense. Maybe a little bit more of the tiny moths, maybe a little bit more of that essence glowing within the loop, or maybe essence coming from these things. But again, this is alpha, so they might not be done with it. So, oh goodness. Let's see. All right, so let's look at it on the a couple of other races. So we'll do the High Mountain Tauren again. I mean, it looks good. I mean, there's not much to mention with this one. Let's see if we take a look at the Volpera now. That fits really well. I don't know if the Volpera was just designed with a backpack because of the heritage armor, but that works well for them. Let's see. Well, confirmed. Night Fae. Let's see. Looks too low for the Tauren. You know, I was thinking that, Kirsu. Whenever we go back and I was looking at the other ones with the High Mountain Tauren, I was thinking that's possibly something as well. But I was trying to go through and look at where the arc of these things are at, and according to his head at least, his horns make a difference. But you have to remember that some of the High Mountain Taurens don't have those large horns, so this is going to stick up a lot higher than it looks like right now. Maybe we can see that difference if we look at a normal Tauren. And see if that makes any difference at all. See, like now you can kind of see it sticks out. I think the horns on the High Mountain kind of, what's the word for it? Eclipse it or overshadow it. But you can kind of see it standing up and sticking out here. Let's see. Hopefully tier sets is coming later in Shadowlands. Supposedly tier sets will be coming later. Bubble actually looks worse there. Do you think so? I don't know. I'm gonna have to hold on that one. I'm not as, yeah, I'm not too put off by the position for the Tauren yet. The way it leans away from the body, a big gap. Oh, you mean like maybe you'd lean forward a little bit? Yeah, now, if that's the case, maybe so. I could potentially see that. Alright, so let's see. I need to roll a Nightborn Arcane Mage for this for this Covenant. That's not bad, Happy. That would sound actually really good. Alright, so let's get into plate. So we have tier 1 plate. Now, as I go through and I take a look at this, let's take a look at the troll first. As I go through and look at this, yesterday with the Necrolords, there was significant disconnect between the Necrolord's armor and the color of the tier 1, 2, and 3 pieces. So I'm kind of hyper aware of that right now and trying not to let that throw me off. But my goodness, that armor is so well done. I do think, in looking at this though, I also don't like this really. Really? I like it. So well done. Now, I do have an issue a little bit with the color. I don't know if there's a tiny bit of clipping there. When it comes to the color, it seems really... The best way I was able to describe it yesterday is if you called let's say a plate, you called that a square hole, you have your cloth as a round hole, you have your what do we call it, leather as a triangular hole. What they did is, I feel like for the tier 1, 2, and 3, and as they said, okay, what we'll do is we'll shave it all down till it's really small, and it doesn't matter what shape the hole is, and we're going to stick it in anyway. That's what I feel like here is, and so it doesn't really match anything really well as far as the color scheme goes. I would like to see the wood match what would be the wood here. You know what I mean? Like this seems disconnected. And I think that's a shame, because that's so close. Like the art wise, you know, as far as the art goes, it looks really, really good. Like it would match really well, but that color just makes it completely different, you know. I want to see the horns sticking out of the the sides. All right. I don't know what Covenant will suit my human mage best. That's, yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit tougher a decision. I'm going to do the normal Tauren now. Let's just see where that stands. Alright, so normal Tauren. You know, if you did white horns, Kirisu, that's not half bad. Went through and changed her. I think that's one of the better looking helms for the Tauren. Let's see, I'm going to look at the armor types here. The legs, there doesn't seem to be a heavy amount of clipping anywhere. Yeah, all in all, that seems pretty good. You know, you have your elbow joint and your forearm and shoulder kind of clipping, but that's not bad. I think that's livable, to be honest. It's quite good, and I actually like the way it fits around the tail. Yeah, yeah. I do like that. Again, though, color. I don't know. I'm really, really hesitant to say how well this will work out, because it's, I guess, you know, if they throw it in the game, it's going to work out regardless, right? But Mate says, what do you mean by when you say clipping? Okay, so clipping is kind of what you see. Let's see if we zoom in here. So you see where this, oh, here you go. You see where this forearm piece, this armor piece, crashes into your shoulder piece here? That's what I'm calling clipping. Some armor is easier to see on others, but that right there, you don't get to see the top of the forearm and the bottom of the shoulders because they're crashing into each other. Yeah, exactly, like overlapping. And there's no getting away from all of it. You know, that's especially with Warcraft style. That's one of those things where whenever you kind of go through and you make that type of art, especially with their art style, you're going to get some level of clipping. It's just some can be better than others, and it can be really bad. But again, color-wise, it would have been nice to see matching colors for matching armor types rather than a one-size-fits-all tier piece. Let's see. Let's see, as far as Worgen goes, we'll take a look at that. I think that type of armor looks really good, though. I do as well. I think it's not bad. It does have like a nice tree-ish flow to it, to a certain degree. Shoulders are massive. I really like that headpiece. They did a good job with that. Just straight facial armor there. That's not bad. Now, kind of going back, Mage, from whenever we were talking about, you notice how you can see the bottom of the shoulders here and the top of the forearms, you know, right there. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is certain models, certain types of character models will do better in certain situations here. Have you shown on the troll yet? I think usually I'll start with a troll, I'll look at a Tauren and like a Volpera. That way we get like a standard race appearance, what do we call it? A standard race appearance, a large one, a large hunched one, and then a small one, and just kind of go through and critique the appearance of each one. But this is your Zandalari troll. And again, you know, you can go through and see a tad bit of clipping there, but I think that's very much... Nope, you don't. Never mind. You don't. Even if you did, though, I think it'd be very much okay, just given the armor type. As opposed to the Necrolords, though, what we don't see are any boots. So the Necrolord armor does have boots. This one does not. Not worth anything one way or the other. It just seems worth throwing out there. That's the other reason I kind of look at the trolls as well. The sparkles underneath the feet, I don't know where the sparkles are supposed to emanate from. It leads me to think that this isn't really done all the way yet. But yeah, there's no reason for them to be under the feet because they'd be in the ground at that case. So if so, it'd be interesting to see where they put them. But man, I wish I could emphasize enough that the color of this would look so much better if it just matched up with the armor type. That would be nice to see. Alright, so let's see. Let's take a look at rank 2 or tier 2 plate with the back piece. And see, if you move those sparkles up, I think they're at the joints. The lowest line up with the ankles. Oh, okay. Alright, that makes sense. Alright, so let's look at our troll again. That looks good. It does. I try not to mention the color too much. I think we've kind of honed in on that. But I do think it's like worth mentioning that if we were talking about color, you know how we have this shoulder appearance here? That put into this would make it a night and day difference. Let's see. It clips really bad. This one, yeah, it does. I think that's why whenever we were looking at the models, as far as it clipping into the back, I think they're going to move that away from the body. But yeah, I think you're right. It will clip into the back of the shoulders a little bit. So, you know, if they would want to widen the shoulders or reduce their size a tad bit, if we look at it in comparison to the head, I think if the shoulders were lessened in size a tad bit, you could probably get a lot more movement room. Maybe. But again, going back to the look, I mean, it's like the moths, work really well with the armor set. The moths, they do clip into the armor. So if I was taking a look at this guy, like this moth right here, if we let him go through and do his thing, I would take this moth, move him up, and put him on the outward, if that makes any sense. So like somewhere right about there, and just negate the entire clipping altogether. But I mean, I do think 2 moths is worthwhile having, but I think having it up here, and maybe what that would also do is allow you to see more of the light, more of the structure in the back as well. But it would be a lot less clipping right there as well. So that might be, I like the 2 moths, but I think they need to pair the moths shorter down just a little bit. Yeah, as far as like moving them, I would allow the moths to be these, seen more clearly. Yeah, so if they were able to go through and move it over a little bit, I don't think that'd be bad. That's not bad. All right, so let's take a look at the larger race. So we've seen the armor. Let's see. As far as the back, you know, the other thing too as well, Kirisu, is that we were talking about the moth and everything, but this thing's embedded in their back, right? So a lot of those problems might go away if they pull that out. Because if we looked at the Necro, what do you call it? If we look at the Necro Lord Transmog, their back pieces were farther away from the back, so I think that's where this is going to go. I think it's just going to float in the back like the other one did. Let's see, moths. I mean, the kitchen can't get rid of them. All right, so let's see. But again, I think I'm just going to commit to mentioning this every time. Color. We need some. I would highly suggest having a plate tier 1. A leather tier 1, a cloth tier 1, a mail tier 1, and just have it be one uniform set. You know, it's just simply recoloring, so I don't think that's the worst thing in the world for it. Let's see, if we take a look at the Volpera. This guy moves a lot. Give me 1 second. Ooh. Okay, so no, that looks good. There's the back piece is engraved into his back, or merged into his back, but the moths are still, what do we call it? The moths are still not clipping. So I think if we go back, now that we've seen 2 models, both the large one and the small one. Once he's done, there we go. Large one and small one where it's not clipping. Let's take a look at the troll. Let's see. Let's go back to the Xanilari. Alright, so to kind of go through and talk about what we're talking about. See, in the resting position, it completely clips it there. Let's see. I think they could get away with a lot if once they pulled it out, because it seems like this piece, if we're looking at his back, is embedded much further into his back than the other pieces, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts there, is that right now, probably just with the modeling, it's just too far in, but I think a lot of the clipping will go away once they've pulled that out a bit. I do like the large shoulders. I do think that looks good. They might need to reduce the size a little bit, because even in the chest, in standing position, much less swinging a sword, you have a little bit there. I might be nitpicking with this one though. Not as adamant as I am nearly with the color. But yeah, the shoulders look more proportionate on the troll than the worgen. A little bit, yeah. Let's see. Alright, so let's take a look at tier 3. With these guys. Alright, so going back to the troll once again. This one is going to be, yeah, yeah. I don't even know which angle to take for this one, because the it's so far into his back that I don't think we're going to see too much here. And this is probably alpha. You know, well, it is alpha, to be honest. But, you know, it's just probably something that they haven't gotten to yet as far as where to orientate this thing. Still think, you know, would there be more blue here? It'd be nice to see that color blue that's coming from the shoulders, that's emanating from the shoulders on this. Maybe even if they went the route of matching color, you know, as we're fading from a greenish white to a blue as we go up the shoulders, maybe the top of these going blue as well. But again, it looks like it's, if it's all going to be Night Fae, or it's all going to be Night Necrolord, you know, you want it to match. You want it to be it such a way that, okay, that's the entire set. You know what I mean? Because it's almost, as it is right now, it's like going into Legion, and you're collecting your heroic set, right? Your heroic hunter set, for example, and then throwing on a normal cloak for that set, just because it also matches the leather a little bit too. So I do think the color-wise, the back needs a little bit more attention. Plus, this one we've already talked about, the tier 3. It seems like it's at best on par with tier 2. So I do think there's a couple things that need to kind of come from that. That out shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I don't think so as well. Bubble says, I think they won't care too much about clipping. It's not like some people will notice it when running around being busy. I feel the mounts were worse with the the tresses. Possibly so. I think, Bubble, there is a good bit of truth in that. Like I said, it's also kind of ingrained into the art. So I do think with some of my comments regarding clipping, they might be nitpicking, but figured I'd just kind of go through and point it out a little bit. But for the most part, I do think that you're right. It's just, you know, it's going to be an opinion from one artist to another. You know, within Blizzard, of course, from what's too much, what's not enough, and stuff like that. All right, so that is plate, and that's all 3 tiers of it. Let's take a look at mail now. That's not bad. Okay, let's absorb this one a little bit. First off, right off the bat, with the troll, let's look at the feet. It is a little bit weird to me that male gets feet coverings. I've never been a big fan of that random little bit of metal at the end. I do think that this should be on a pair of like soles somehow, and have those soles kind of connect to the boots. If you want to leave exposed skin, sure. That looks kind of goofy, to be perfectly honest. You know, just to have something random plate sticking out like that, I'll just put them in the boots. Be done. Yeah, like slippers. Yeah. But even more so is that you get this on mail, but you get nothing on plates. So that throws me off a little bit there. So maybe they're not done, but it definitely doesn't really match too much. Going up to mail, that belt is really well done. I like that. There may be some, you know, if we go through and we rotate them or he runs, there might be some movement activity here, but I like the belt. It's a little bit odd. I might, as far as this go, what this looks like is someone draped their hand and they cut it off and they're hanging it from their belt. And those are the bones. I would probably have it look like more of a wood-like appearance, if that makes any sense. Like a branch or a vine or something along those lines. The structure in and of itself is not bad, but if you change the color a little bit, I could very much see this belt on the Necrolord set. But they do look like, considering the joints, I think it's supposed to be fingers. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But it seems kind of weird for Night Fae, unless there's like some part of the lore that I'm not aware of for Night Fae. it looks like, yeah, fingers, essentially. Let's see. Please give me my troll shoes. It's all good. Yeah. So let's add another one to this. We've talked about the troll for the feet. Let's add night elf just so we can see what the boots actually look like whenever they're seen, because it seems like they're on some trolls, they're not on others. I do think it's really weird that there are no boots for the trolls, but there's these random covers on the toes for the male. Yeah. Let's see. As far as this goes, the other thing is like this, this being the male, it kind of has like a thorny like appearance. Maybe they can transfer that over to the belt, but it does look like fingers. It does look like finger bones, to be honest. Let's see. Chest wise, we're good. You know, as far as like male, in any like male set, you do kind of have like a little bit of leather incorporation there. So I do see that with the gloves. That's fine. I do like the color gradient and going from a bluish purplish color and then into a brown. I just, you know, I don't know how it ties into male specifically, but I do think it works here. Let's see if we go to the shoulders now. The lack of helm, I did see the comment for lack of helm. Probably hasn't been done yet. They probably just haven't gotten to it, so we'll take a look at it. There is a little bit of asymmetricalness. Asymmetry, there we go. Asymmetry between the shoulders. That's very much normal for male, so that doesn't bother me as much. We do kind of see that. I don't see as much life, though, as I did on a plate set. You know, like say for example, that's a pretty bright blue. You know, is it emanating some sort of light? You know, do you have your particulates, your particles, your essences flowing from that? That's kind of what I'm looking at there. It just seems painted, for about lack of better terms. So it seems like that could use a little bit of attention as well. But it looks like this set might not be done at the same time. It's just, you know, whenever you're kind of looking at your plate, your leather, your cloth, your mail, you want them to have some similar quality levels, if that makes any sense. I like the overall idea of insect parts composing the armor. I think that's what I'm getting. Oh. I thought that initially whenever I saw the Night Fae, I was thinking more along the lines of like they're part of what's living. Well, let's hold a thought on that one. We'll come back to that one now, because whenever I was looking at the plate, I was kind of getting the thought process that it was kind of tied to a living plants and stuff. The insect thing is throwing me off a little bit, but as far as the matching, this matches a little bit better. Like say for example, the brown that comes along the shoulder kind of matches the color a little bit here, so it flows to a certain degree. Then you have the brown from the leather, so you know that would kind of work. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it yet though. Let's see. Let's take a look at the Volpera a little bit. So it says it doesn't look finished. The resolution just isn't there. I agree. Yeah. I think, what was that? Happy says the same thing. I think that's what I'm sensing as well. So it might be a little bit early judging. The other thing with this is, you know, as we're going through and we're talking about this, we can revisit this in like a month or two, and then, you know, kind of look at our comments, see what we've seen, because like you're saying, a lot of this is very different. Let's see, we're good there. Let's see. As far as the clipping and everything, seems pretty standard. Let's see. Torn wise, much of the same. I am starting to see it a little bit more with the Tauren, and how the for lack of better terms, your plate-like appearance, where your I guess your insect armor overlaps itself. That's not bad. All right, so maybe not done. Maybe that's the best way to sum it up. Gets worse set once again. Yeah, this one comes across as undone. There's a lot going on here. Like, I don't want to tear it apart. I don't. But I guess the bony fingers kind of make sense if they're tearing from a dead insect type of look. There's not a lot of glow features like you see on the plate set so far. There's some sort of gold encasing here for that. Even in plate, you didn't see any sort of gold encasing. Yeah, I don't know. The belt is painted on. So in Legion, you had you had your separation of leather, and then you had your belt on a 3D image like that. You know what I mean? But this is a completely painted on belt. I don't know if I'm a fan of it. Similar to what Kirisu was saying earlier, there was armor over the belt or over the tail. This is just painted on. I don't know. Yeah, this one has a lot of work, to be honest. Yeah, we'll let that one ride for now. Let's see. If we go through and throw a tier 2 on the back, let's see. Yeah, definitely unfinished. Yeah, it at least looks like that. It'd be interesting to go back and look at our look at the VOD and see how much of a change happens over the course of time. Not a lot of clipping. That seems nice. The color matches well. You know, with the insects and the armor, that matches really well. There's nothing that really matches the wood appearance here. So that would be nice to see that in some form or another. Yeah, that's really about it, to be honest. We'll take a look at the backpack. Oh, you know what? Sorry, the Volpera first. Let's take a look at him. Oh, before we do that, Night Elf. We were talking about the boots. Just kind of going through and looking at the boots. So this, we're seeing this on the on these guys. I mean, that's not bad. You know, as far as like the feet go, that part I kind of get. But on a troll, it just doesn't have a good look to it. It just looks like two floating bits that are sitting on toes. Bits of metal sitting on toes. What might be nice, let's see, is that if this plate here on the toes match the rest of the plate, because if you look at each of the plate segments, right? So we'll take a look at the leggings here. There we go. So each leg plate piece has a transition from blue to brown, blue to brown, blue to brown. Even on the forearm, blue to brown, blue to brown, blue to brown. However, if you go to your segment here, just solid blue. So maybe something that matches that as well. Let's see. As far as the rest of this goes, again, the belt, I think we're, not to be overly critiquing, but I think we're past the days of painting that on, unless the belt's not done and that's just the background. Leather with moths in the backpack is clipping bad. Alright, so we're good there. And let's take a look at... I do like the plate set. Plate set's nice. Let's see. Tier 3. Tier 3. And the backpack. Good bit of clipping going on. I think it's... If they left it like this... Man, that's a lot of clipping. It just looks like it's piled on there. I don't know what to suggest for that, just because I kind of don't know where to start. Maybe I'd pull the backpack out of his back first, see where we stand with the wood pieces that come up here. I think right now we just have to wait for mail to be done. It just doesn't look done. We've kind of nitpicked it apart, so I don't want to have a session where we're beating the artist. The belt is clipping into the legs by itself for this class. Maybe that doesn't make a difference, but it's there. Okay, yeah, we'll let that one ride for now. Let's see. We'll make our way this way. Alright, so let's go down to leather. Did I miss it? I did. Okay, here we go. Alright, so for leather. And let's start with the Night Elf, of course. Leather has no shoes. That's fine. That's part of the set. I get that. That belt. There we go. So this is what we were talking about earlier. So this is why I think the belt's not done on leather. That's nice. That's well done. The detail across the your little pockets, your little storages, containers, and stuff like that. That's nice. Let's see, as far as the forearms go, nice little glow to what's going on there. Let's see. We skipped the robe just because of that. Something is going on here, which leads me to think that either there's going to be a version of a robe set, or a robe and a pant set. So the boots look like they kind of have a growing aesthetic from them. Again, the boots seem to have, or this whole set seems to be revolving around a tree, right? Like you have your wooden pieces here. You have your belt kind of has that wood encasing the gemstone. More wood on the forearms, kind of engraved in color into this. Apparently wood coming from the boots as well. There is a pants version? Okay. We'll look at that then. Then we go up to the shoulders, and there's more wood. Like, that's what's really throwing me off with the mail. Like, the mail is, there's something just fundamentally, conceptually off with mail right now. I do like this. So you have this cloth piece coming up from inside. It's harder to tell with this guy. Let's go ahead and switch to the troll. Just because his hair is all in the way. Alright, so there we go. So we get to see it a little bit better here. But you have your wood that's kind of, and your branches that kind of wrap around his neck piece outside of the cloth. I like that. That looks really nice. Let's see, the wood color is mismatched again. Yeah, it is. I think, like, if that was all one color, it does look like a wild bunch of branches back there. One kind of actually covers the other a little bit. I don't know if they could, maybe for this set, raise the back a little bit more. But I don't know if that would look goofy a little, or a little too goofy. But it does look like a pile of sticks. If you're just kind of like, put this guy here. Let's see. But I do think the back pieces are, generally speaking, too close to the body anyway. So many branches. But I think I like the look. I just don't know how I would change it for leather. Like, maybe you could go through and have these wings come out just a little bit larger. So let me see if I can paint this idea. Rather than have them this close together like this, take them out and put them up. And maybe that would give it a little bit more intimidating presence. You would get to see more of the aspects of the back piece. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at like right now. But again, like, who has said that? Something about color. Oh, there you go. Happy? Yeah. Happy with the color comment. I do agree again. Color's off. The color between the wood on the leather set and then the tier 2, or sorry, tier 1. Yeah, it's off. Let's see. I got a feeling Morgan is gonna bust through that. We can look. Let's see. Oops. Let's see. How does our guy look? Maybe about the same. Taking the back piece. I see like this. I like on the Worgen, it is separated far from the Worgen. Like this is probably where it's designed to be for most of your sets. But I would kind of separate it and raise it a little bit. In my opinion, I don't know if they can do that based off armor type. So we might be just stuck with a pile of sticks on the back. It doesn't look bad, aside from the different colors. But if it was all kind of the same color, I would be okay with it. I'd actually kind of like it. But not hardly any clipping. I mean, it looks good. It looks good. Aside from the color and the mismatch there, it looks good. Someone said that there were leggings here. So I'm going to see if there's another set to take a look at. I see it. Oh, that's male. Never mind. Okay. Alright, so it looks like it only shows in your tier 3, so we'll get to that then. Let's take a look at the tier 2 back piece on the on these guys. And yeah, we'll look at the Worgen. Let's see. Love giant halo. Love the giant halo. I do. Yeah. I didn't even mention that. I do think that's really well done. Hey, bud. I do think that's really well done. As far as like I think one of the things I like about this is that with the plate, the wood was growing on it and around it. It was encasing it. You know, it was almost like too much armor type of thing. Where with leather, it's spaced out and it's holding it within space. And you know, you have your orbs, and it looks like it's partially in the centerpiece being held up by the webbing, or I guess the strings at this point. Let's see, as far as the back goes, this one's pushed into his back a little bit, so I'm sure there's going to be some level of clipping there. But again, you know, all in all, I think it looks nice. It looks like the arm, you know, pieces aren't in place, but that's, you know, that's expected. I still like plate, but I can't think of a race combo for it. I think honestly anything that you want. You know, there's a million different lore stories, especially when it goes down to personal player. So, you know, whatever you want for it. But I feel like Paladin could move in that direction. Maybe Warrior, Defender of trees, I guess. Let's see. All right, so let's see. If we look at tier 3. So let's look at tier 3, but also with the legging set. I have kind of skipped over the word here. Let's go to a more useful model. Here we go. All right, so that was exactly what I didn't want to do. One sec. Let's go with Night Elf first. That way we can at least see the boots. Yep, there we go. Night Elf. Oh, that's good. Crom. Night Elf Warrior. I like that. All right, so the boots, we weren't able to see these in the robe form. They did clip through the robe, so I feel like that should be fixed, just from a design perspective. But this looks good. It has that feeling like the roots are coming out of the ground and around his feet, or on his feet, should I say? I like that. I mean, that's not bad at all. Let's see. If we're looking at this, so again, we know the whole clipping thing at this point is pushed into his back, so we get that. But this would be such a night and day difference if the wood pieces here matched the wood pieces here. If I had any sort of push or pull within the design, I would have four different sets, four sets of your tier 1, 2, and 3 for each armor type. Let's see. Definitely need to improve feet textures. Let's see. Yeah, they might. Those have gotten left behind a little bit. But right now, this looks like just a congregated mess a little bit. So they'll pull it out, and it'll probably be easier to review. I just think that the Night Fade, there's a lot of work still being done on it. So I'm trying to ease up a little bit here because I don't know how useful commentating on this is going to be if it's just, you know, an unfinished project, you know. Let's see if we take a look at the Volpera though. I mean, it looks good. The back piece, let's see. Again, color, again, clipping, we get that. Just not done yet, but art-wise, it looks good. I do want to revisit the mail. We're going to come back to the mail after the end of this. Let's go ahead and move to cloth then, and see where we stand with that. Just to go through and capture what we were talking about a minute ago. Let's go back to Zandalari Troll, was it? Yeah. So I do think that this is worth mentioning. You do have your roots coming out. What they could do for this, I don't know how feasible for the art team this would be, is to cut out these sides and just let the roots come out. You know, have this, give the robe here a little bit of texture where it wraps around 360 up to the knees, but you have a little bit at the bottom. For the front and back, that might be an option. I don't know how that would actually look, but I don't know about how I feel for a base set like this to have that clipping there. Let's see. Quite like this on the Volpera. The Volpera are nice. A lot of the stuff fits on them really well. Some stuff. Alright, so we're looking at cloth at this point. Just off the surface, man. From looking way over there, let's start with the Night Elf. So Night Elf, I like the sandals. The glowing aspect, I'm really curious to see, you know, in the future where those glows are going to be. I kind of agree with Kirasu in the sense that they're going to be around the joints, but it'll be interesting to see where that is. It's nice to see sandals. I'm okay with that. Maybe it's similar to what just as far as trivia goes, it looks like Night Elves have 4 toes, for whatever that's worth. But as far as the feet go, that's not bad. If we make our way up the robe, pretty standard, but that looks nice. The belt and the vines around it, it would be neat to see some level of 3D aspect to the vines that connect these pieces. Maybe those pieces can hang from it or whatever, but it would be nice to see a 3D belt there, and instead of it painted on. As far as the, I'm guessing bracers then. Bracers, gloves. I like that. So again, we're touching on the bark, the wood, the essence of a living tree, right? So that's our theme with this. We have this this living essence, this bluish essence, and it's infused in this tree. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. And we're seeing all these bits and pieces of this stuff. It looks good. Going into the headpiece and shoulders, it does have that transition into blue. I like it. Because at least now with the cloth, you're actually getting into the leaves of the tree. Or leaf design, I should say. Let's see. I think, as far as the sparkle is that being a wowhead display bug, possibly so. So I didn't want to really jump into that too much. But yeah, I think possibly so, Chrome. It looks like there's a little bit more work to be done on the shoulders. And that piece, like you see these large squares of same color, I think they're probably still working on that. It doesn't seem like it's nearly as complete as the belt is. So it just seems like they're getting that color placement there. But you know, as far as the colors themselves, like your gems, your essence color, I guess we're calling it, they match really well with everything else. Oh, you know what? If you look closely, you can kind of see it now. You have like these glowing fairies that phase in and phase out. It's really quick, so I'm gonna try to zoom in one more. I can't zoom in anymore. I'll try to put that there in the center. That's a nice little effect. It's quick. And you know, you can't get a lot of detail in it, but that looks really nice. I do kind of like how it makes the eyes glow a little bit white. That's nice. Let's see, as far as the rest of the shoulders and the back of the shoulders go, much of the same. It seems like there's still a little bit more work on the shoulder, so I'm not going to get into it too much. I would definitely add a lot more detail to this metal up top, or this design here. Now, of course, we're critiquing it from what would be inches away, but it does seem a little bit pixelated, so I'm sure it's a work in progress. But as far as the horn goes, the color transition from the bluish to the horns here, I like it. Looks good. That blue kind of carries to a green down here on the helm. A lot of color flow here, so that's really nice. And then as far as color goes, again, the wood on the back piece and then the wood on the set doesn't really match too much. Like this, to me, I would go through and put this color wood about midway through, and then toward the top, similar to your horns here, have this back piece have that bluish hue to it. So you know how there's that transition from the helm all the way down? Same thing here. Kind of that bluish hue to it. Maybe you could even make the leaves a white color or something like that, but you know, something to match. Make it look like a whole set. It looks like wings, or looks like wings. A little bit, yeah. But also looks like leaves as well, or leaves, should I say. But all in all, that's not bad. Let's see. Let's take a look at the tier 2 cloth, which we're not quite there yet. There we go. So tier 2 cloth here. Let's go to, well, let's look at it on a night elf. So a little bit of clipping here, but again, I think that thing just needs to come out. This one could probably come out and be lowered to a certain degree, and you wouldn't have too much of an issue. But there's a lot on that moth. There's a lot on this moth as well. So probably if they just pulled it out some, which they more than likely will, that's not bad. If we look at our, whoops, Volpera. That has a nice look to it. Volpera does well with a lot of these. Let's see. It looks like the back pieces again, you know, clipped in a little too close, but fine. The wood color matches a little bit more with this set, but just not quite there. But that is a nice look. Let's see. If we look at a Tauren, I do like the effect of the shoulders where it has those glowing fairy things or whatnot on them. That's really nicely done. Let's see, as far as this goes, so far not bad. To me, the helm looks oversized on Volpera. Most of them look like that. Most of them do. From what I've seen, most of them seem to have a little bit of a look like that, where the head's just oversized. But I think that's to some extent true for a lot of your smaller races, like especially the Gnome as well. Let's see. As far as this goes, yeah, it looks good. I mean, it's nice. It really is. Let's see. Let's take a look at, I think that was that one, right? So we'll do cloth tier 3. So we've kind of gone through most of it here, but I do want to revisit the mail a little bit. Here, we'll start with the Tauren. Let's see. Well, the plate one looks like looks bad on Volpera. Oh, you think? Hang on, we'll go back and look at that, but I thought that one looked pretty good. Let's see. As far as the back piece, this one doesn't clip as bad into the back, so we kind of get a little bit more of an idea of what it looks like. It fits well, in my opinion. Fits well, but again, you know, it's that color. The color is just going to, I feel like, to some degree, tear this apart. Where you have your blue up here, like how good would it look to have your blue thing that you see on your horns? Here you go. The blue that you see on your horns transition into this this brownish color. Same thing happened over here, and just, you know, match and flow as you know, one would expect. That's really the only thing I can say for that one. Let's see if we go into Volpera. Hey, bud. Hey. Give me a minute. Let's see. As far as the Volpera again, we'll take a quick look at him. Let's see. Like the old cloth and mail. Oh wait. My issue with the Volpera helms is that they look weird when they try to cover the face. Otherwise, we did see that yesterday, Al, with the what do we call it? With the clipping of the nose through the front of the mask. Yeah, we did see that a little bit yesterday. Let's see. This isn't half bad. Again, color. Again, the chest or the backpack being too close, but again, it's one of those things where I think it's still in design. Let's see. Okay, so one of the things I've been looking at is if we're kind of going through and we're skimming through all this, right? We have our plate theme. That's just a giant tree. We'll take a look at this one. Our plate thing. Oh, there you go. There's the Volpera. Yeah, so that right there. We noticed that yesterday, Al, where the nose is clipping through the front of the mask. So I do think that that's going to be fixed. The size of the face, they'll probably make the helm a little bit larger. But yeah, I do think that will be something that's fixed, hopefully pretty soon. But yeah, I can't see them letting that one go through. Same thing with the Necrolord stuff. We saw that little nose popping through there as well. I think what's going to happen is this is just going to change the face. And you, Mac, thank you for the follow. Welcome, by the way. How's your day? So yeah, we'll go through and we'll look at this. But you know, let's go back to the Night Elf. So if we're looking at the Night Elf, there are our boots. They have a nice little look to them, a nice little glow. It just looks like, you know, planks of wood that have been put together really nicely. It looks good. It looks like a tree that has a lot of life essence in it. You know, we get that. We've seen that on the plate. We've seen that on the leather. We've seen that on the cloth. What's throwing us off is what is this. I just don't really see the theme here. It's like they went the route of an insect on a tree, maybe, or on a plant, or just, you know, a random insect in the dirt. I just don't see what was going on here. There's a lot of metal casing. None of the other sets had any sort of like metal to them. It was all done by the natural, what would be natural earthy bark, you know, trees like stuff. Can we show it on Nightborn? Yeah, we can do that. There we go. So I just don't really see, like the belt, for example, has, it looks like a dead insect's digits. I don't see it. This one throws me off a little bit. Like if somebody said, "Hey, can you look at the AQ new set? There's going to be a new set for AQ," and they showed me this, I'd be awestruck. I'd be like, "Yeah, that looks really good for AQ. That looks like an armored. I can't wait to see the exoskeleton of bugs on a plate." Yeah, this one I don't get this one. But I also, in all fairness, don't think it's done. One thing I do think that might need to be looked at is sometimes your shoulder casings, I think it's worthwhile to put padding inside of it. So say, for example, let's see if we can position this where it's easy to see. There we go. So you can see like right down through the shoulders, right? Like I can see his hand through the cracks in the shoulders from the top. Either that's an indicator that the shoulders are too big, or maybe there's supposed to be some sort of like designed in padding. But yeah, that's rough looking. This is, I don't know, like most of these sets I would score anywhere between 8 to 9 if the back piece matched in color. Given that it doesn't, I'm putting it somewhere between a 5, 6. And maybe that's a little harsh. We'll say 6. Maybe, yeah, we'll keep it at 6. We'll say 6. This though, design-wise, it looks good. It doesn't match anything as far as the other sets. The back pieces don't match. Like this to me is like 3, 4 level category. Like there's metal here. I just don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where the set itself looks good, but I don't know what part of it kind of runs in rhythm with the other sets. We'll see what the headpiece looks like. Maybe that'll somehow magically tie it all together. I half expect to see. I would be kind of disappointed at this point in time if I don't see like a what do we call that? The exoskeleton of a bug's head. Like that's half of what I'm hoping to see here. You might as well commit to it. So you'll have your plate and your leather and your cloth be plants, and the mail will be just the insect that eats off of it, I guess. But yeah, I'll be kind of surprised if there's not some sort of bug-eyed headpiece that sits on his head. That'll be interesting to see how that one works out. We'll let that ride for now. Night Fae, all in all, I think Night Fae looks really good. But the mail just, man, that misses the mark. If it's natural decay themed, then it should have been a mushroom set. That's really clever. Happy. That would have gone miles, I think. The issue I would have had at that point is, why decay when everything else over here is alive? But I could have gotten that so much more than an insect approach. Like to me, if I was in any sort of management position and all this slid across my desk, I would go back and keep the comments that I kept with everything, but I would send the mail back. That I would just rebuild from the ground up. There's nothing that jives with any of the other sets. And I hopefully not hurting feelings with this if the poor artist happens to see this, but I just think that it doesn't mesh with anything. It doesn't. So I'll leave it alone. I'm not going to pick on it anymore. So yeah, that's Night Fae. So all in all, let's see. Let's go ahead and let's pick this guy here. Hey, bud. What you doing?
Hi.
Hey, buddy. All right. So this is the Night Fae. We'll keep them there for now. Again, I think it looks good. All in all, I think that's nice. Let's see, does the Necrolord's leather set jive with the other armor sets? It does. Chrome, I have it on YouTube. I almost called that the YouTube. But I have it on YouTube. We went through the Necro set, and it works really well. Because my thing with that one, not to talk about too much of the Necrolord set as we're here, but the leather is living. So the way it manifests itself is, and the way that they've done that and piecemealed it together like that, I think they did a really nice job. Let's see. That set's fine, but it's different from the other sets. It is, but it's for a reason, because leather was once living, you know? And I can see that being pieced together the way it was. That part makes sense. The insect and the metal theme, the gold in it, just, you know, nothing really kind of ties it all together, you know? For me, anyway. But yeah, this looks good.